Hi there. I'm Steve
All right.
Budd, and with my guest Stu Sweeto of AV Consultants. That's audio video consultants, if you really want to know about it. And we're going to hear a little bit about Stu's company and his journey in sales. Because if you're in business, you're in sales, right, Stu?
I guess we are all salespeople. That's right.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to hear a little bit about maybe what some of your struggles were before you started working with a sales coach.
Oh, well, I think just identifying myself as a salesperson, I think of myself as an artist, a videographer, and that quite frankly, when I was young, thought that I wouldn't have to do any sales, that, people would just see how good my work was and, I'd be, have all the work I needed.
Right, right. And at some point, you were like, "Oh, there was a realization."
Well, when I realized that, I'm supporting myself and my family, with this business, that, yeah, and I took some, just like some evening classes in business in general, just learning a few things, and
Hmm.
then, realized that, yeah, I got to consider myself a salesperson too.
Yeah. What kind of kicked you over the fence, or it made you say, "Okay, I got to enlist the services of a sales coach"?
Oh, it was probably a very gradual thing because I was listening, give me an idea how long ago I started my business. I was listening to audio cassettes in my car of sales of sales coaches, I guess, sales trainers,
Sure.
and and learning some things that way. I had taken just some general small business marketing classes, and picked up a few things about sales then, and just was kind of watching the growth of my business. The first few years, it grew quite a bit, and then it started leveling off actually, and I started getting some more competition,
Hmm.
and started seeing what other people were doing. I had, so they're very gradual steps. One was that I got an office in downtown Oakland, and I had an investor actually, a retired guy who, we bought some equipment together, and we would sit, occasionally and chat, nothing specific, but how, what ideas he had for me growing my business, and he inadvertently, I don't think he really was trying to insult me or criticize me or something. He happened to be talking about a friend of his who is a real go-getter in business. And he said, yeah, man, if this guy, was running your business, he'd have the whole floor in this building. I just have like small office. So I started thinking, yeah, what's this guy doing that I'm not doing?
I
So
see.
these are some of the things that,
Sure.
um, led me to, eventually, I had an opportunity to do some work with a sales coach, and that's, finally decide, okay, I'll take this, this opportunity.
Take the plunge. Yeah, it makes sense. You said, as you said, things had kind of plateaued, and then also you had this other voice kind of pointing out you could be more of a go-getter, and you were like, "Yeah, I could." So, altogether, that kind of came together to have you work with a coach. And what was that like?
Uh, one word, was hard.
Mm.
Um, we set up like 10 telephone sessions, half hour each. Set up, half hour, no problem.
Uh-huh.
And we were clear that we would only, the woman, she wouldn't be pushing me, but she would only, ask me if I am satisfied with accomplishing whatever goals, I accomplished or did not accomplish, and ask me what I would like to do, and then each successive week she would follow up, to make sure that I had done what I said I was going to be doing. And of course, I wasn't doing half of the things or more than half the things, and then she would just ask, how how is that going for you, that kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
So just very supportive, but also really sticking to the plan. So
I see.
each week I had just like a different kind of a check-in, a different idea of what I wanted to do. I'm just full of ideas, and following through them was a different thing. So, I think knowing that she was on my shoulder during the week, that maybe I would follow through with some of those things.
So your coach kept you accountable.
Accountable is the word. You got it right.
Yeah,
right.
She kept you on task. And did she make some suggestions to you? Try this, try that.
Really not. No, she was really asking me for suggestions because I've got a lot of ideas. Not just what I want to do with video, but also what I want to do with the business, and frankly, ideas in terms of selling. Do I really want to be doing cold calls? Do I want to call past clients? Do I want to try to speak at meetings? Do I want to, just go out and do some networking?
Right.
But these are some of the things that, the different options that we had discussed.
Mm-hmm. I see. And what's one thing you started doing that started to help?
Well, for one thing, I thought that I would use. I had an assistant working for me, and I think years before I had a previous assistant who made some cold calls, and we actually got a gig as a result of cold calls, and it was a good one. And so I said, okay, I was thinking I'd have my assistants, and then she kind of gave me some coaching around coaching my assistants, to make these cold calls. Well, that went nowhere really, and the assistant didn't like doing it. He wanted to be a videographer himself too. So then we kind of changed courses in terms of. She would ask me things like, "What do I really like to do? Where is my passion?" Mm-hmm. I was probably around that time. I was teaching classes also part time at UC Berkeley Extension. And, she would ask, how is that going? And I said, oh, I really love it. If I could do this full time, maybe I would do that. And so she said, well, do you think that you could view your prospects as your students and consider that you are an educator, not just a salesperson? And that was like a major change for me. Because I feel like I have a lot of knowledge. I've been in the business for a long time. I wrote a book on corporate video production also. So I enjoy sharing information with people. I had a tagline for a while called "Demystify the Technology," and people I found liked that about me. When they would write reviews about my performance, they would say, yeah, well, he explained things very clearly. And so that became more the focus of what I was doing in terms of educating prospects as well as past clients and providing information, sending them things. I imagine we had email, but around that time I set up a website and started posting informational things, like I called them guides. I was writing articles for some video magazines, but I posted those articles on the website also. So it became a resource for people to learn about video, and that helped attract people to become clients.
So it was a blog, basically.
Yeah, I guess a blog. Yeah. So we got a blog going.
Yeah, we had a blog going, and that helped too. Yeah. Any other thing what kind of clients are you most interested in working with, or do you most work with?
Well, they are business people. In the earlier days, frankly, I was focusing on the large corporations, and I still have large corporations, usually doing training and communication videos for them. Mm-hmm. More recently, I'd say the last 10, 15 years or so, it seems like there's loads and loads of small businesses now. Some people are just doing it as a side hustle. Other people have a regular business. There's been a lot of tech startups that have grown. So that has been a focus of my attention, in addition to the large corporations. For example, the corporations, I would do conferences. With the startups, these would be like marketing videos, promotional videos, testimonials of clients. I think one of them hired me to film. They had like a meetup at their office one time. They hired me to film that because they were talking with other people that were in the industry. And so it became like educational videos that I was doing for them.
Mm-hmm. Oh, great. Any other kind of ideas you got from your coach or things you did that helped your sales appreciably?
Well, yeah, to be easy on myself, quite frankly.
To be easy on yourself.
Yeah, yeah, and I feel a little bit guilty when I had all these lofty goals and I wasn't, doing them. So we kind of broke them down into more manageable things that I could accomplish, and not to feel bad if I only did one thing during the week rather than five things.
I see.
And to try to have fun with the business because we had some conversations about why are you doing this. Um, where's your passion lie? And
Hmm.
so I try to focus on that. So I mean, for example, I have fun writing blogs and putting things on my websites. And quite frankly, I guess another thing that we had, maybe a little embarrassed to admit this, but I tend to think of myself as a shy person, an introvert, and going into a networking meeting with a bunch of people I don't know is kind of like one of the scariest things for me. I actually am pretty good at public speaking. People say that's like the scariest thing for people, worse than death. But I think worse than death is going into a room of a bunch of people I don't know and promoting myself, basically, and learning how to do that. So I got some coaching from her about
Okay.
that. Don't go around to everybody and hand out your business cards. Ask them for their business cards. Ask them what they do.
Yeah.
Those kinds of things. So I got some coaching in terms of networking. Come to think of it, I read a book, Susan Rowan, called How to Work a Room.
Oh,
Have you
yeah.
heard the book?
I have heard of that book.
Yeah. So that helped me too.
Roane. That's her last name, Rowan.
Yeah, something like
Susan
that.
or
Right.
Suzanne Rowan. I don't know if that's the exact title, How to Work, but it's close. How to Work a Room.
Yeah. Well, that's how I interpret it. Right. So I'm
Yes.
working a room. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that's great. So yeah, it helped to have this coach you could bounce things off and have as a support and accountability person and kind of keep you on track.
Exactly. All those things. Exactly that. And be supportive of me and not let me get too. Not let me get down on myself at all. Actually,
Okay.
just find where my passion was and focus my energy on, for example, sharing. Thinking of myself as an educator rather
Right.
than a salesperson.
It's an
I mean, quite
interesting.
frankly, we talk about barriers. I would be hesitant to make phone calls. I mean, quite frankly, it was like when I was a teenager, calling up a girl for a date, calling up a prospect, who wanted to buy my service. I had a real hard time, doing that.
Sure.
But once I realized that I am there to provide them with information, that this is going to help them grow their business, and this is going to really be a benefit to them, started thinking a little differently about it, and then even though I was hesitant to make the phone calls, what I was hearing from people is, "Oh, thanks for calling," or "Thanks for following up," because with sales, you got to make several calls before you close the deal
Yes.
usually. And I would say, "Oh, I'm sorry to bother you. I don't really, mean if am I calling you too frequently." "No, I'm really glad you called. I was going to call you." So it gave me some encouragement, to make those calls.
Excellent. Yeah. And how did you see your business change as a result?
Well, it grew, not by the leaps and bounds of the very early years, but when you start at nothing and you grow, it looks great on a graph. But it did
Yeah.
gradually grow. Over the course of time, I got a couple of business loans. I had worked out the deal with this investor at one point too. So I guess it gave me confidence, and also buying equipment over the years too gave me confidence that the business is viable, that I could make it work, and what I'm doing is okay.
Yeah. And you have. It's been how many years you've been at this?
Oh, about 35 years.
Yeah, that's a few.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
It's just a
Started
few.
when I was 4.
What's that?
I started when I was 4 years old.
Yeah, exactly. Precocious lad. um, what kind of advice would you give to someone starting out in business in terms of all this, in terms of sales and coaching and
Um, boy, I'd say to really determine if you are really dedicated to running a business where you don't have a salary, you don't have insurance, you have to buy your own insurance. Health insurance is a difficult, expensive thing to get. And there's so many other, overhead expenses. So number one, to really look and learn about what it is to run a business, not just say I've got this great idea, and to consider maybe doing it part time. Get a job in the industry that you're interested in. Work for your competitor if you can, and learn from them. And get into it slowly. I mean, quite frankly, I did have a job and I did have a side hustle, doing audio recording of medical conferences on the weekends. I was doing that, and then eventually, it moved into doing video and got my own business going. But yeah, so start small. If anybody's in the video business or anything that involves equipment, don't buy equipment, rent equipment, or hire people with equipment. I did that for many years, and I'm glad I did, because I know an awful lot of colleagues or competitors that had to sell equipment, and get a job because they just got way over their heads. Bought stuff.
Yeah, of course, a lot of people out there in sales are not quite in the situation that you described. They're not all, starting their own business. A lot of people are employed by companies that hired them to sell. So they probably have some salary, or at least a draw to count on, and not just pure commission and nothing coming in unless they make a sale. So even for those people, I would think that coaching would be a useful element.
Well, yeah, because you're not going to keep that draw against your commissions for very long if you're not making sales.
Right.
You are. I mean, you really are the I guess the financial faucet for this company. You're not making sales for them. They're not going to keep you around, for very long. So I would imagine you would have to consider that you have some ownership in this company. So, your sales are really going to determine the success of the company too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good not to put too much weight on those poor salespeople's shoulders, but yeah, there's a lot of truth to that. Do you have one piece of advice you can think of that you'd like to share with people in sales?
Oh boy, I think just really find where your passion is and really try to share that with prospects, and try to connect with them and where their passion is. Try to see where you have some overlap, some connection, because I think it's it's really the personal connection I have found. They say people buy on emotion. I mean, that isn't always the case in corporate sales, but yeah, people like you if you develop rapport. Take your time. Take people to lunch whenever we're allowed to do that kind of thing,
right.
and try to have fun, because people will pick up on your energy, and they want to be happy and have a good time. If they see that you're happy, they'll pick up on that energy.
That's a great point. Yeah, trust, and of course, is a big part of it, as you mentioned. And people do business with people they know, like, and trust, right? So
exactly.
Yeah, the fun and the energy are key components as well. Where can people find you, Stu, and find out more about you online?
All right. Well, our website is AV Consultants. It's short for Audio Visual Consultants, and we have a website that I think has a lot of valuable information on there. I post things, a lot about how people could do their own videos and how they could work with professionals and how they could just use this if they just want to have us edit their videos too. So there's lots of things. We talk about some of the newer technology that's available, like live video streaming.
Mm-hmm. Oh, excellent. That sounds great. So check out avconsultants.com. Stu, thank you so much for your time and sharing, a bit of your background and experiences. It's been very helpful.
Well, thank you, Steve.
Sure. Bye, everyone.